Recently, there was an event for Final Fantasy Record Keeper called By Stone Revealed. This event was probably the most anticipated event in the history of the game, and it featured two of the best characters, but the real prize was their relics. Specifically, the banner is one of the best in recent history. Not only does it have the most game-changing relic in 8 months, but the consolation prizes were also top tier. The most notable ones include a 40% heal and Protectica and an attack that reduces an enemy's offensive power by 50%. You get the point. It's so good that people didn't even spend on the Super Soul Break Spectacular because of this banner. However, that hype turned into anger once the data for pulls was surveyed. A user on Reddit decided to do a survey on banner rates and the items that were pulled in them. In Japan, the banner rates increased during the Cloudy Wolf event for character soul break items. This raised the chances of getting one from 1 to 2%. This did not affect super soul breaks and burst soul breaks. Japan got this, but we got a watered down 1.5% for all other relics. Because there was never a change in the rates of festival banners and normal banners, we can assume these rate hikes were implemented in Cloudy Wolf. The Super Soul Break celebration had Soul Break drop rates set at 1.5%, according to surveys in the community. However, Tactics banner rates inexplicably reverted to a flat 1% chance for all the Soul Break items on the banner. While Super Soul Break and Vanilla Synergy drop rates remained the same, regular Soul Break drop rates declined by 33% and off-banner rates rose by a staggering 85% from the Soul Break celebration. There was massive backlash, which DeNA tried to cover up, stating that there was no significant change in relics on the banner and that the gacha was working as designed. However, there is data collected with a large sample size that states that the relic soul break drop rates were significantly cut and non-synergy items were massively hiked. While DeNA has done their own internal investigation, external data shows a significant change in rates. This essentially means that DeNA is nerfing banners at their own discretion without telling the user base and misleading their customers when they're called out on it. They're presenting no changes in the system, but they did significantly change the payout system, and they can at any time. In addition, their support advertised that I could pull other items that aren't on the banner. However, there is only a 1 in 10,000 chance of drawing any unadvertised soulbreak items. This is classic lying by omission. I have a good chance of pulling another damn Donjuro, but it's very unlikely that I'll pull a Fusion Sword or a Thyrus. They knew that this banner had massive demand because they pushed the event until after Soulbreak Fest. Maybe that was why they nerfed it, or maybe it was because the banner had 9 items instead of the usual 7. I can't read their minds. However, there are other banners coming up in the future that have very good relics. These could be affected by a rate cut without notice. For example, Bosch's banner has the Platinum Shield, which buffs your attack and defense and is on one of the best characters in the game. Yida's first banner has Thyrus, arguably the best relic in the game, which massively boosts your defense and resistance. These are supposed to get boosted rates, like Grand Armor and Kaiser Shield were, and these relics alone make their banners high-demand banners. If DeNA can adjust the rates on tactics at will, what will stop them with nerfing Thyrus? But they have the right to change the drop rates. Yes, they do. We feel like we have the right to speak up when they lie to us about changing the drop rates. We have the right to stop spending on a banner if we don't know if the rates have been changed. But the survey's biased. To some degree, yes. Target relics like Excalibur, Sentinel's Grimoire, or Platinum Sword tend to be overreported by 0.3%. Also, the guy in charge of it has been hyping Celis relics. He doesn't really have a stake in the Tactics banner. But what about the huge drop rate bonus? We never got that in Tactics. They use drop rate bonus to describe the pulls for Super Soul Break Celebration Banner 5. 1.5% drop rate for regular soul breaks. For tactics, it's 1%. Banner descriptions basically give no way to tell drop rates. You're just mad that you didn't pull Platinum Sword. No, actually, Platinum Sword isn't affected by the nerf at all. Even then, I got the relic I wanted most. I had Grand Armor, Nukai, and Defender. Even my off banners were all useful. Didn't get the Kaiser Shield I wanted, but I'm happy cashing out and waiting for another banner. I still disagree with you. Well, that's your choice, and that's your money, and that's really not my business how you spend it. Is there something I can do? Writing letters to DeNA support has mostly led to a lot of robot responses and lies. I personally don't believe that this is an effective way to communicate disappointment. Not spending money on any of DeNA's games until the rates become transparent or consistent could be more effective. Letting them know through a boycott of purchases or products might be a more effective way than flooding support with emails. Basically, there's a terrifying precedent that DeNA's actions set. They're essentially reducing rates and denying it, saying that their internal investigation determined that their rates are working and that they weren't changed. DeNA may be lying, but the numbers don't. Off-banner rates were risen very significantly at the expense of soulbreak equipments. They could very well do these same adjustments on other relics for profit, considering they're as good or better relics than Grand Armor coming up in the future.